Hey ladies, today I want to talk about intermittent fasting and 6 common myths. Let's bust them because we're going to talk about the science behind these myths. But before we get going here, I did want to introduce myself for those of you that I have not met. I'm Nicole Dalton. I'm a family medicine physician assistant for over 20 years and now a women's weight loss coach. I use real food to balance hormones to help midlife women lose weight. I got into health coaching last year after I have heard women share their same story with me in my career working. So I have heard women share their stories of they would hit their 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond, and all of a sudden they notice that they're gaining weight, especially around their midsection, and they're doing everything right, but they're just not losing the weight and feeling tired all of the time. And it wasn't until I hit perimenopause myself that I dug into all the current research and figured out why we gain weight during this phase in our life, and most importantly, what to do to get this weight off. And as I use this information to help myself, I felt like this was way too important to not share with every woman I knew and any woman who wanted to know how to lose weight during midlife. So if you have not joined our positive community that is positive and uplifting and so supportive, come on, join us over in our Weight Loss for Midlife Women Facebook group. We would love to have you, and I will share that link in the show notes. Also, if you find this video helpful, please comment and like below. I would love if you would do that for me. Thank you and ahead of time. And lastly, if you would like to know what it looks like working together, I would love to join you on a 30-minute call. I really like to hear where you're getting stuck at with your weight loss, and we can make a plan together on helping you lose the weight. So I will also share that link for my calendar in the show notes below. Okay, let's dive in. So there are 6 common myths that I want to talk about today. So the first myth is intermittent fasting slows down our metabolism or leads to muscle loss. This is a myth. The science behind this myth actually shows that when done properly, intermittent fasting can be a safe and effective approach for weight management and overall health. So it is a myth that intermittent fasting slows down our metabolism and leads to muscle loss. That is a myth. Okay, the second myth, intermittent fasting is only effective for weight loss. This is a myth. The science behind it shows that when intermittent fasting, that it can aid in weight loss, but it has also been linked to other health benefits, including improved insulin sensitivity, cellular repair, the fancy word is autophagy, and longevity benefits. So intermittent fasting, it is a myth that it's only used for weight loss. There are so many benefits of what our body is doing internally during that fasting mode that there are so many people that use intermittent fasting for the longevity benefits. The third myth is that it is a misconception that you have to follow a specific schedule, like the popular 16-8 method for intermittent fasting to be effective. That is a myth. The science behind it actually shows that there are various approaches that do exist, and the key is finding what suits your lifestyle. Okay, so it's a myth that you have to follow a specific schedule like the 16-8 for intermittent fasting to be effective. You can absolutely. There's so many different ways to intermittent fast that it actually gets so overwhelming looking at all of the options. But to simplify it, it is simple to, at least when you're starting intermittent fasting, to follow a 16-8 schedule. But it doesn't have to be perfect, and you don't have to do this every day. So it is very flexible, and you get to decide how you want to use intermittent fasting with your busy lifestyle. The fourth myth of intermittent fasting is that it is suitable for everyone. This is a myth. The science behind it actually shows that if you're pregnant, breastfeeding, or have a history of eating disorders, that intermittent fasting probably is not suitable for you. The fifth myth is intermittent fasting leads to uncontrollable overeating during non-fasting times, right? Like you're starving yourself and then, oh my gosh, I'm so hungry, I'm eating everything. So that's really more of a myth. The science behind it actually shows that when practiced mindfully, intermittent fasting can actually regulate hunger hormones like leptin and ghrelin, and it promotes healthier eating habits and decreases the likelihood of overeating. So that is a myth that intermittent fasting leads to uncontrollable overeating. And the sixth myth I want to talk about is that I will pass out or die if I intermittent fast. Okay. So I have to chuckle when I read this one or I talk about this one because a lot of women do feel their blood sugars fluctuate, and more women, or some women, are more sensitive than others when it comes to fasting and the blood sugar dropping and rising naturally. Okay. But it's actually the science behind intermittent fasting and our blood sugar actually shows that during fasting, our bodies rely on stored glycogen for energy. So when glycogen stores are depleted, though, the body may start breaking down fat for energy. And this is what can lead to a slight blood sugar drop. Okay, so I definitely would encourage you, if you're just starting with intermittent fasting, don't try just to go full out intermittent fasting day one. I would encourage you to just slowly work into it. If you're fasting for 10 hours already, then maybe for a few days, try 11 hours. And then after that, if you feel okay and you don't feel too tired or groggy or feel those fluctuations in your blood sugar, then you can, go to 12 hours of fasting and do it slow. And by any means, if you feel like you are going to pass out because you feel like your blood sugar is dropping too low, then break your fast and eat. Okay. But so true hypoglycemia is actually super rare. Okay. So more than likely, you'll feel your blood sugar fluctuate, and you might feel like your blood sugar is dropping a little bit. But most of the time that ebbs and flows with what your blood glucose is doing. So give it a try. Don't let that stop you. Okay. And so those are those 6 common myths. And the last piece of this is I did want to share just a quick refresher on perimenopause and menopause. So the definition of menopause is not having a period for 1 full year, and perimenopause can last for up to 10 years before menopause. Lucky us. And within those changes, what happens during perimenopause is as estrogen and progesterone levels are declining, then what goes up is insulin. Okay. And so as insulin is rising, during this perimenopause phase, we actually become slightly insulin resistant during perimenopause. And the benefits of intermittent fasting are just remarkable during perimenopause and menopause because of the benefits with insulin sensitivity when we're already becoming a little insulin resistant during perimenopause and menopause. So I would love to hear if you liked this video, or I would also love to hear your questions on if you're starting intermittent fasting. And I would love to hear your stories if you've been using intermittent fasting for yourself and how it's going in your weight loss journey and just in your health journey for longevity. So please comment and like below, and I can't wait to hear from you.